City Current, hosted by Josh Meny, produced by Dakota Media Access. Find it on freetv.org or watch on Government Access Channel 2 or in high definition on 602. Always local, always current.
Hello, I'm Josh Meny with Dakota Media Access, and this is City Current, a source for information regarding the services and procedures of city government. The focus of today's report is the Mandan Police Department's Youth Services Division and what they're doing to create safer schools, divert young adults from crime, and build overall better relationships with the community. As they always say, safety comes first, and so we will begin this report with the issue of safety in Mandan Public Schools. Maintaining a safe school environment is a priority for the parents, teachers, and patrons of the Mandan Public School community. That's why the Mandan Public School District is using the services of the School Resource Officer, or SRO. An SRO is a sworn law enforcement officer who prevents crime, counsels students, and keeps our schools safe. Perhaps the SRO's first and foremost purpose is safety.
Most people that I've talked to about it, they actually will say they feel safer having this police officer in the schools. Does having me there make the school automatically safer? Not always, but I mean that's the perception that people have.
Prevention of the phenomenon known as fear of crime is one of the main components of the community-oriented policing philosophy. To prevent this phenomenon, the Mandan School District and the Youth Services Division has installed an 80-camera system. This system is positioned throughout the Mandan High School in order to monitor activity 24/7.
I think there's an understanding, I believe, that majority of our parents and our clientele, our patrons, like to know that our schools, they do feel that there's a perception that the building is safer with cameras.
The school district is also implementing a key fob system that gives police officers the ability to lock down and limit access to all school buildings with special keys.
We'll have the key fob that'll allow us to be able to go to any school and be able to enter from any point. That's really very important from a tactical standpoint. If you have a tactical shooter, you may have to be selective as to which door you want to get in to be able to eliminate that threat.
When a police officer enters basic training at the police academy, one of the things that they learn is active shooter training. Officers will go through a complete active training scenario where they will learn how to clear a building in order to get to the main objective.
My initial goal is to respond to the location and, if possible, neutralize that threat.
Additionally, the Mandan Police Department follows 3 components for preparing for an active shooter. 1, good policy in place for what they are going to do, how they're going to get organized when they get that call. 2, scenario training or implementing that good policy. And 3, continuing to educate and update officers and school staff on the new and evolving good policy. The next topic at hand is the Youth Services Division and their 3 main goals, which are 1, prevention, 2, education, 3, enforcement. In defining prevention, we'll first point out the logical outcome of having an SRO on campus. As we discussed before, by just being there, the SRO is preventing crime.
And I really think that some of the kids that are doing things to get in trouble, I think they think twice.
Additionally, the youth workers are also preventing crime by means of stopping truancy. Truancy is the act of missing school without good reason or permission, otherwise known as absenteeism, or its slang term, playing hooky. The Mandan Police Department considers truancy as such an important aspect to preventing crime that it is the only police department in North Dakota that devotes an entire youth worker position just to truancy.
It's really clear that people that are truant from school, for example, if you have kids that are truant from school, that's going to tend to put them behind on their work, which is going to tend to make them drop out of school, which means they're going to be uneducated, which means it's going to be difficult for them to get jobs. It can be a gateway to crime, drugs, alcohol.
The North Dakota Compulsory Attendance Law, which falls under the North Dakota Century Code, requires students aged 7 to 16 to attend school. If they don't, they will be considered truant under the following guidelines. 1. Absent or unexcused for 3 consecutive school days during either the first or second half of the school district's calendar year. 2. Absent or unexcused for 6 half-days in either the first or second half of the school district's calendar year. 3. Absent or unexcused for 21 class periods. Another method of prevention is the text-a-tip line, where anyone can send a text into a tip line that goes straight to one of the administrators and the SRO. It's a way for a person to get information to the authorities while remaining anonymous.
And they can text in information if it's a concern that they have about anything. It really can be about anything. It could be about drugs, it could be about bullying, it could be about inappropriate relationships, it could be a positive thing.
The second component is education, which ties closely with prevention because knowledge is power, and in this case, knowledge gives students the power and the ability to make the right choices to prevent them from partaking in crime. The Youth Services Division puts on drug and alcohol classes. However, these classes cover more than just substance abuse.
It's more than just you're learning about drugs and what they do and don't do them, and don't do drugs and we're going to send you out the door. It's all about setting goals, making good choices. What are your values? What are your beliefs? What are your attitude? How can that affect your future?
The Youth Services Division also teaches students of all ages internet safety through an interactive learning program called Net Smarts. The internet is a double-edged sword because not only is it a forum for bullying among kids, it's also a source of information for the youth workers to monitor kids' activity.
Teenagers and young adults, they're really open about putting everything online, which is something we try to prevent in our Net Smarts program. But at the same time, it kind of helps us too when we're looking for teenagers that might be, acting out or seeking attention or whatever. Or if we're trying to, like she said, have a runaway or something, they might be posting where they're at. It's kind of to our advantage that they put it out there and they don't keep things private.
Enforcement is the third component of the 3 goals, and it's specifically handled by the SRO. The youth workers cite the students that are misbehaving, while the SRO is the one who enforces the law.
He is my enforcer for everything. I'm doing all the calling and, making sure these kids are getting to school and so on and so forth. He is the one I go to when I'm ready to say, all right, it's time to put the teeth in this kid, let's cite him or let's go out and cite the parents if that's the case.
With the enforcement component comes the debate over whether or not the presence of an SRO at school creates a criminalized environment. However, SRO Rick Whitaker is not just an armed guard trying to arrest kids who are making mistakes in school.
I don't want to get these kids in trouble if I don't have to. I don't want to push them into the system. I would much rather be able to sit down and counsel with them and mentor them in other ways. Talk to them in the good and the bad situations to try and keep them from making some of these poor decisions.
Being an SRO changes the police officer. The SRO is one who thinks outside of the box. Not only is the SRO out policing the streets, he's also in the schools every day, interacting with students as a mentor, counselor, friend, and authority figure.
It's really changed my perspective on kids, the juvenile delinquency problems we have in this country. It's really changed how I view the system and how kids are brought into the system, so to speak.
The Mandan Police Department's Youth Services Division is a form of community-oriented policing. The philosophy behind community-oriented policing, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, is to promote organizational strategies that support the systematic use of partnerships and problem-solving techniques to proactively address the immediate conditions that give rise to public safety issues such as crime, social disorder, and fear of crime.
Our kids are seeing the police every day. They're learning to trust us and learning that we are a part of their community. Rather than just seeing a police car pass by on the street or pass by their house. With the school resource program, they're learning that we are real people, we're approachable, we are available to take care of their needs if possible. And I think that follows them when they get out of school and into their adult life.
Having an SRO is community-oriented policing at its finest, because it is about building relationships and addressing problems before they become big problems, or addressing issues before they become problems. And so when we talk about community-oriented policing in our country today, that relationship between the police department and the community, what a better place to start than in the schools. When you see the SRO at the grade schools eating lunch with kids that are in 1st and 2nd grade, that's a true community partnership that you're striving to have throughout your community, and it's a great place to start.
To get more information on the Youth Services Division of the Mandan Police Department, go to mandanpd.com and look under the Division section of the website. If you're a parent or a student at the Mandan Public School District and you have a concern, you can always send a text to Officer Whitaker's text-to-tip address, which is sro@msd1.org. Also, see what's going on with Mandan City Government by tuning into Dakota Media Access's Government Access television channels 2 and 602 in HD. And or watch live streaming of city government meetings on freetv.org. This has been another edition of City Current, a source for information regarding the services and procedures of city government. Thanks for watching.
City Current, hosted by Josh Many, produced by Dakota Media Access. Find it on freetv.org or watch on Government Access Channel 2 or in high definition on 602. Always local, always current.